The name of my book is Meets and Bounds. It's about fences and boundaries. And the concept behind it is I have a series of, it's a photographic book. Um, and it's views of fences in different seasons, in different kinds of different types of fences, different um, layouts. Each page is a photograph, and I've matched it with a bit of poetry or quotation that reflects the content of the photo. I have an introductory chapter that talks about the history and types of fencing that goes on for maybe 15 pages or so, but it's mainly a book of photographs. So there's an introductory chapter. I've grouped the photographs by season of the year. It totals about 142 pages plus the front matter, and it includes about 120 photographs. I didn't bother to count them. At the end, I've got a page of additional books that are about fences that are related, although nobody has done a book that's like the one I've done. Here's the cover that I've put together for the book. And I'm going to show you some sample pages from one from each of these seasons of the year. Summer, as I mentioned, I've chosen quotations to go with each page that reflect the content of the photos. And in this case, I've got a bit of a quotation from Shakespeare that reflects the content of that particular photograph. Here's an autumn photograph. And again, a bit of poetry that talks about what you expect to find during the October month. My photographs, some of them are in portrait mode, as this one is. Some are in landscape orientation. I've got them mixed up. Most of the photographs are in color, but I've also included some monochrome photographs. And I laid out all of the text. Here you can actually see what a page looks like with the border and the page number at the top. I laid the whole thing out in Adobe InDesign. So it's basically ready to publish. I made over 5,000 photographs, almost all of them in Fauquier County, a few in other locations that I've selected from to make this book. I edited the photographs, each of the ones that I chose for final selection. I created the design in Adobe InDesign and laid it out in that. And when I go to final publication, I will, all of these photographs now are medium resolution JPEGs. I will eventually convert them all to the highest possible resolution and convert them to CMYK because that format reproduces best in a printed book. The issues that I'm having are finding a publisher. That's not an easy thing to do. I want to have a publisher that offers high quality printing. I could go to Amazon with this, but Amazon does an amateur job of reproducing photographs, and I think these photographs are good enough that they merit quality production. Finding an agent is a useful thing to do for finding a publisher, but again, that's not easy to do. And as I mentioned, I'm going to try to avoid Amazon any way I can because I think it merits a better treatment than that. So looking for a publisher involves creating a proposal for the book. and mine runs to about 20 pages. I have made some contacts with publishers directly, but frankly, you're better off trying to find an agent to market the book to publishers on your behalf. There are two major resources for finding agents. The Writer's Market is a book that has, I don't know, 600 or 700 pages of information for writers, including a large section on agents and the kinds of publications that they will represent. Writer's Market also publishes a book called A Guide to Literary Agents, which I think has pretty much the same information in it, but it's specialized just on that issue. The problem that I'm having, and a problem that anybody has with a non-fiction book, is you need to have a platform, which basically means you need to have a large following on your blog, or a large following on your website, or a large following on your podcast. And I don't really have any of those things. As far as they're concerned, I'm an unknown quantity, and that's going to make it hard. The content alone isn't necessarily enough to sell the book. They're interested in selling copies, and to do that, they want somebody with a little notoriety. In any case, the outlook, as far as I'm concerned, is, with some luck, I may be able to get it published. I certainly hope so. I continue to try marketing it. I think it's a pretty good book. I hope I succeed. That's my presentation.
What would it cost if you published it yourself?
Say again?
What would the cost be if you published yourself, just to get an idea of the hill you're facing?
Well, I don't, it would probably, the cost to a buyer might be $30, $35, given the kind of color production that would be involved. It would cost me thousands of dollars to make the print copies myself. And the problem is I'd be stuck with hundreds of copies in my garage or my basement or someplace that I would never be able to sell. You need to have a publisher who's capable of marketing the thing, which I am not capable of doing.
Nor
So,
with the emphasis on Virginia and with that county, does that represent any kind of conduit to be of interest, or to highlight this beautiful beautiful photographs that you've done?
yeah, one of the first places that I went was to the University of Virginia Press, thinking, well,
Okay.
surely they'll be interested in something like that. But I
Yeah.
never heard back from them. And that's pretty typical. You send out
Yeah.
queries to agents and to publishers, and maybe they'll respond, but 75% of the time you never hear anything back.
We'll all buy 2 or 3. How's that, Norm?
Say again?
I said we all promised to buy 2 or 3.
Oh, thank you. That'll help. Any other questions? Well, Ellen, it's over to you then. I think I've set it to share. Can you click on share and get the screen?
Yep. So let me just say, I thought I was going to go first because I'm new.
Oh,
And so your thing is so polished. So anyway, but this is good. So the first thing I was going to do, where is that Zoom? I was just going to start with the basics. Why create a photo book? Because you need something else to do, because I'm sure everybody doesn't have enough to do. As a way to preserve your images in a new way, to give as gifts or to sell or to celebrate milestones. So I've done plenty of books. Oh, Norm, you know what? Let me see if I can mute everybody again. No, it's too late. Okay, so I was going to say Norm knows, and he'll soon give us the inside scoop. So this is Norm's book that I bought on Amazon called Being Elephant. And so it's a very cute book. I've done this kind of thing, the special occasions for years. I've made books for family. I make birthday books for the boys every year, but this, what I'm working on now, is different. So why a poet friend asked me to collaborate with her on creating a fine art photo book. And because I didn't know anything about how to do that, I signed up for an online class. And if you're interested, by the way, there are so many online classes on creating photo books. LACP, Santa Fe workshops, Main Media, all these places offer. But I took it from someone named Caroline Fraser, saying it with photo books. She's in the UK. And we only had 5 sessions to get to a rough draft. And she told us we were guinea pigs. She is now offering real workshops, but she wanted from us feedback. So it was great because she was working it out. The students were from the US, UK, and Australia. She put tons of resources on an app called Padlet that was wonderful, where you could look at them. But here's where we started. So what is the subject or story of your book? What do you want to say? What feelings do you want to express? What is the overarching theme or story? But then, this was helpful to me. She said, here are the basic types of photo books: storytelling, so a narrative of some kind, a memory holder, family pictures, a travel journal, like my trip to Japan, or concept driven, for instance, the environmental impact of plastics. There's more photo book types, which is why it's overwhelming. There are artist books that can be handmade or mass produced, where if you hand make them, you have full control over the size. She showed us some that can fit in the palm of your hand. They're just charming. You can create with a handmade as few or as many as you want. You can make 5 or 10. You can use interesting folds, paper, stitchings. And there's these things called zines, which can be any subject, but they're often in a shorter format. So I figured I was doing a travel journal into the unknown, is what I decided. So that doesn't surprise you, does it, Nelda? So after you have the subject or story, what she had us do is choose 10 to 20 or more images and put them in a folder, and decide whether you will include text and how much. Decide on the narrative arc, beginning, middle, and end, and think about the pacing you want. And so the sequencing part is the part that I think is crazy making. Norm, with yours, you went by season and it was a discrete group. So maybe it didn't make you crazy, but she had us print 4x6 images. CVS often has sales, and you lay them out on the table and you're trying to figure out, well, is it grouped by theme? Is it by color? I will say the people in my class who did monochrome, it was way easier to sequence them to look good. Or high key, is it grouped by time of day or by mood or feeling? I think this is the hardest thing. Then choosing the software. So Norm, I'm really glad you did yours in InDesign, right? Which is the more advanced, and I chose the beginner choice, which is I use Lightroom, and they have a book module. How many people here use Lightroom to process photos? So I had no idea they had a book module. So you pull your images in and you hit book and it brings them up in the order they're in. So it's like, oh my gosh. So they transfer directly to a place called Blurb Books for printing. Blurb can do PDFs, hardcover, softcover. You can sell on Blurb. And then you got to decide about size and format. You can do just a PDF, which cost me about $4.99 to get a first one. I recommend doing that first before you order a sample copy, because I saw all kinds of mistakes in it. A soft cover, an 80-page soft cover of Blurb is $45, not on sale, for a 10x8. A hardcover is $62 with an image wrap, and much more for a 13x11. So the downside to Blurb is it's very pricey. So they make it easy, but it's pricey. There's other software like Blurb Right, InDesign. But with Lightroom Classic, you don't need to export your images to another system. So, and then you make design decisions. The books I've done for my family, done in Mixbook. Has anyone made books with Mixbook? Because they're super simple, but there's like 5 font choices. In Lightroom book module, there's hundreds. Do you want a serif or a sans serif? You want a 12-point or a 14-point? You want tracking and padding? How spread out? Do you want large or small white borders? You want a full bleed? Anyway, lots and lots and lots of great decisions. And then if you're doing handmade, you get the delicious task of choosing paper stock, which I love, but I'm not doing handmade. Then there's all the extra bits: end pages, title page, copyright page, contents page, dedication page, an introduction, why this book, a bio, and end sheets. You know how you've seen translucent or metallic papers in some books? There's all kinds of cool things you can do. By the way, Kozu, Norm, do you know Kozu, K-O-Z-U books? So they're out of the UK, and a bunch of people I know publish with them, and they do beautiful work. Does anybody have any questions before I show you my book?
Ellen,
Yeah.
is that available only in Lightroom Classic, or is it also available in Creative Cloud? Because I haven't seen it there.
I don't think so. And I think it's Lightroom Classic only that has the book module. I believe that is correct. So
It's up in the top right where
I'm
that
sorry,
choice
Bob?
is. That's in the top right where they have that choice.
Okay.
And if you can actually have it not show, so that could be something that he has done.
So you're thinking, Norm, that Bob, that Steve has access to it and isn't looking for in the right place?
Yes.
Okay. All right. He'll check. So now I'm working on a book with a poet, and because I'm not doing it myself, it is much more complicated. And we just had a breakthrough, which was wonderful, but it makes sense. We've made it much smaller than what I did. That probably would have been a good idea for myself. But so we're doing 15 images and 15 poems with front and back covers and a few pages of the why and motivation. So it's much smaller. But if you'd like, I'll show you Into the Mystery, the rough draft of my book. Do you want to see
Yes,
that?
please. Yes.
Okay. All right. So now just let me get into, do I want to save the changes? Don't save. Just let me go to Lightroom. Tell me if you can see that.
We can see it.
Okay. So Into the Mystery is the front cover. This is the back cover. The one thing with the blurb, the PDFs, is you can't separate them visually. They come together. And then I did an inside front cover that you don't need to do. And I made up a publisher, my kids' names. My dad did that with books he published. So this is just for fun. And I have now ordered one test hard copy. So
Ooh.
then I did a dedication page, because I wanted to. And then I get into the why. So the why for me needed me to have some of my mystical experiences of my life. Like one evening after my mother's funeral, there was a hot pink contrail in the sky. We lived here for 20 years. And that's the color of her favorite blouse.
Oh,
Was that a message? Another time, a friend who had passed away visited me as I walked down the steps in my home. He was standing in the middle of an ochre field telling me not to worry about him. Was that another message? And where I start, actually, when I was 7, I awoke in the middle of the night and I was sure I heard angels singing. So the way I tried to set the book is moments like these invite me to float in the heavens or wander into make-believe dream worlds or dive into silken waters. In these realms, I am free to explore the unknown, to enter into the mystery. So then the book is divided into those 3 chapters: floating. And my first chapter titles are all 2-page spreads. And then, Norm, I wanted to use quotes from people. I had a bunch of great quotes. Yours are from people who are dead, right? if they're not in public domain use, you can run into real problems. So I stripped them out and I wrote all the words for the book now. So, but like Shakespeare, you're safe with, I saw you had Shakespeare, you're safe. And so I try to get to the concept, ride the winds up, up, glide through morning majesty to grab the fleeting gold. So these are this is the floating section. I alternated between using text and not, so that it gives the visual a break. I also alternated, in the course I took, it said no more than 3 pages in a row with the exact same layout. I might have gone overboard, I don't know. So we're still floating up in the heavens. And I use this 2/3 page thing. In my test copy, I have no idea how it's going to look. You can order a thing called a lay flat book. I've done that with the books I make for the grands. It's much more expensive. So I didn't with my test. And then I decided, again, not sure it's a good idea. And I'm sharing all of this in case you want to do this, all the things you ask yourself. I did one image and one bit of copy to transition to the next. So this says, soar high above over fields, trees, stream, as you float down, down, down. Because now you're wandering, you're on Earth. So that's the idea. Good idea or not, I don't know.
Good idea.
So you will know some of these images, but I think a lot of them are new. So oh yeah, and this was, I had to make sure that the words I wrote made it seem grounded enough. So I had to rewrite this to, oh, the enchantment of a full moon just outside your window, so close that you can hear its whispered secrets. So that's you got to think about so much stuff. This picture, by the way, is going to be at solstice at the Barns of Rose Hill starting in June. And does anybody know where that is?
No.
It's Blandy.
Oh.
And that's Blandy.
Yeah.
And that's, oh, not Blandy. Yeah. Blandy Ginkgo. And this is also Blandy, by the way. And so this is my next transition. Not sure I did a good job, but slide below the gilded earth to explore the cool blues below. Feel crystal clear water wrap around you like softest silk. So now we're in diving. Now we're deep in the water. So you can see I've altered the pagination. A big decision is how big the font is. Someone had said that the black font was so, what did she call it, the instructor? It was like it was too harsh. But when I got my PDF and it was in dark gray, my eyes aren't great, I couldn't read it. So I switched everything back to black.
I like it.
Yeah, I need it. So, so you're in the water.
What was the font?
I used Bodoni 12-point old face.
Yeah, but your font's perfect because it's not wordy.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of words, right?
Yep. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna hurt you, not you.
Oh,
And then this was the cover image, and somebody had suggested use it and give it some copy. And actually, this one is going to be, oh, this is going to be at the Barns also. And then I have a little kind of an explanation of, in my early days of shooting, I liked shooting blah, blah, blah. Now I do this. And a quote from a photographer I took a class with, and then, you know, my URL and stuff. Now with blurb, you can't print anything there. So I'm going to stop share and see if you have any questions. For me, it's great fun. For a lot of people, it would be, why bother? Why would you do
I think it's excellent. I'm just really impressed.
Oh, I mean, I have had a lot of fun. And of course, I stress myself out all the time. Can I just say before I forget that I went with Nelda and Mike to take pictures of baby cows, and we had such a good day. So I just want to say thank you. Nelda plans these outings for us from time to time, and this is the first one I was free for, and it was great fun.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you went.
Yeah, it was fun. So does anybody have any questions, or should we move along with the program?
Just mentioned that I did a couple of books on Shutterfly, but that's only because it came free when I purchased a piece of gear, and oh, here you get a free Shutterfly book, so I took advantage of it. But this is something much more.
So, well, for fine art, this has a lot of different templates. It has more choices. So I really love, if you're doing stuff for family or friends, I love Mixbook. When I do the stuff for my grands, I'm going back to Mixbook. They make it really easy. They do all kinds of stickers and all kinds of stuff. I needed this to look a little different.
This is very sophisticated looking, I think. Both you and Norm.
Yeah, Norm's is gorgeous. Like,
It is.
Well,
Yours is too.
Ellen, your photography is brilliant.
It is.
And I love the Lightroom layout. I didn't know that it could do that.
Me
Well,
either.
I'll show you Norm later, so because I'm not ready, but the one I'm working with, the poet, I chose a totally different layout for some of the stuff. We have our first meeting tomorrow to look at just where we are. And I love the other one I chose. Too late, I'm not switching. But my point is there's a lot of choices in Lightroom that make it easy. And InDesign, my designers used to work with InDesign. I know it's complicated. I wasn't going to go there. So.
Oh, I
Okay,
think you
let's-
guys both are brilliant. It's two different concepts, and I miss you guys. I wish I was up there so we could go play and shoot baby cows. Not shoot them.
I know,
You know,
I know. It sounds
know.
bad when I tell people. So yeah.
Yeah.
So we miss you too, Julie.
Yeah, we do miss you, Julie.
No.
Those pictures for the cow shooting are on events. If anybody wants to look at them, they're cute.
They're very cute. So okay, I'm all done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, the next meeting is June 17. It's by Zoom, and we will send out the correct link next time.
Norm, you stop
yeah.
stop recording.
Okay, if I can find the button.
Yeah, no witnesses. That was funny.
Yes, it was funny. You go, Julie.